Okay. I'd like to call to order the Gateway Board of School Directors regular board meeting for Tuesday, November 16th of 2021. Will you please rise for a pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mrs. Isha, whenever you are ready for roll call.
Yes. Mr. Bova.
Here.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
Here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mr. Gottman.
Here.
Mr. McIntyre.
Here.
Ms. Mungo.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Mrs. Warning.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Here. Okay. We're going to start with comments from residents on agenda items. And Mrs. Isha, did anybody sign up to speak this evening?
We have Rosalind Daly. She signed up to speak on the book list.
Book list? Is that on our agenda?
That's on F, section F.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you have, Rosalind Daly, Monroeville, and you have the grade 6 novel list. I don't know how to pronounce Savas. I don't know if that's an acronym or what, but that's what I'm referring to. And this book list is for approximately 11-year-old sixth graders, and it came to the attention of some parents and taxpayers who wanted to review the book content as it relates to student age and maturity. We've not completed the review. We're still in the process. We just got the list, and we would like to pause on any kind of decision regarding appropriating those books. So we did get to look at some of it, and we can say this, that there's a lot of dark content. And of course, I haven't been in school in a long time. I didn't have books like that, or at least actually I do remember a couple books that were very dark, but I'm not going to bring them up at this point. I'm just going to say how much a dark book, how it affects children at that age. They need to be inspired. They need to be inspired versus depressed. It's so important to present positive things, people who overcome, people who discover their purpose in life and do good to their fellow man, and that sort of thing. The people that have changed the world because they saw goodness and hope and value. And that's the kind of thing we need to see. Yeah, life throws us curveballs, and that can be part of the story, but it shouldn't be the predominant part of the story. And there's unfortunately a lot of that. So we're hoping that we can, after we get to review the books and let give you our feedback, that, we can improve the district's focus on book content with positive messages that reflect positive aspects of life. So our request is that, respectfully, that you withdraw the purchase of any of these books until we've scrutinized them. And we do plan to go through that ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Daly. Ms. Isha, do you have anybody else sign up?
We had Ray Firth on the social media and equity. If he's here tonight, that's really a non-agenda.
Okay, I don't see Mr. Firth here at this time, but there he is. All right, so Mr. Firth, your topic we'll hold on to.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, it'll be at the end. All right. So are there any other residents currently here that would like to speak on agenda items at this time? Okay. All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to section A, which are the minutes of previously held meetings. And resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors approves the minutes of the following previous held meetings: study session meeting of October 12th, 2021, regular board meeting of October 19th, 2021, and the special board meeting of October 25th, 2021.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. McIntyre, second by Mr. Williams. Do we have any questions or comments on section A?
Could you turn up the mic, please? I can barely make you out. I missed everything you said.
There's no mic for the room.
I do apologize. I will speak loudly. Right now, we are approving the minutes of the previously held meetings, which is the study session from October 12th, the regular board meeting, October 19th, and the special board meeting of October 25th. We have the motion by Mr. McIntyre, second by Mr. Williams. If there are no questions or comments on this section, I'm going to ask for all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Moving on to section B, financial reports. Mr. Schott.
Thank you, Mr. Gottman. Section B, resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors approve sections B1 list of bills and B2 financial statements as listed in section B at the Tuesday, November 16th, 2021 regular board meeting. And specifically, those consist of section B1 list of bills for November 2021 and a second section B1 list of bills for November 2021 added after the study session meeting, and one section B2 monthly financial statements for October 2021 also added after study session meeting.
Second. Motion by Mr. McIntyre, second by Mr. Williams. Any questions or comments on section B? Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Ishak, we have a roll call.
Mrs. Cerucci.
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney. Mr. Gottman.
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre.
Aye.
Ms. Mungo.
Aye.
Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning. Sorry, Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Mr. Williams
Aye.
and Mr. Bova.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we're going to move on to section D, the personnel agenda. Mrs. Crump.
I don't see her on here. I don't know that she's on.
Yes. Mr. Shaw, would you take section D personnel?
Yes, I will, sir.
Thank you.
Section D, resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors accepts and approves the personnel agenda items 1 through 6 as listed in section D for the regular board meeting of Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. And that's specifically comprised of item number 1, resignations for those individuals listed below. Item number 2, leaves of absence for those individuals listed below. Item number 3, transfers. Item number 4, employment, consisting of a section A and a B for an athletic worker, and a section C for after-school tutors. Item number 5, supplemental contracts, section A for issuance for those items listed below. Item number 6, volunteers, as for those independent volunteers as listed below. And that concludes section D.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. McIntyre. Do you have any questions or comments on section D? All right, seeing none, Mrs. Ishak, can we have a roll call?
Yes. Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Mr. Gottman.
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre. Ms. Mungo.
Aye.
Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Bova.
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, we're gonna move on to section F, the administrative report. Dr. Short.
Thank you, Mr. Gottman. For elementary education, Dr. Rossi, please.
Thank you, Dr. Short. Just wanted to clarify the first item there, motion to display. These items are just under review and they will not be purchased or approved. They're just a notice to the public that they will be on display. Policy 918, Title I, Parent and Family Engagement, Super Kids Reading Program, and the Grade 6 novel list. Item number 2 is approve the agreement with Susan Tarasevich Learning, LLC for trauma-informed professional development for non-public schools, Title II allotment.
Item number 3, facility rental with Bradley Novick, Tamburixons at GHS Auditorium.
Item number 4, approve the change order for Hunt Valley Environmental LLC in the total net amount of $25,144.44 as part of the Gateway Middle School renovation project as depicted below. Item number 5, approve the purchase of 2 new scoreboards to be utilized for the baseball field and the softball field as part of the athletic field renovation project, the Gateway High School athletic fields from OES Incorporated, in the amount of $4,870 for each scoreboard and a grand total amount of $9,740 for both of the scoreboards. Item number 6, approve the district's continued participation in the Allegheny Intermediate Unit number 3's joint purchasing program through the joint purchase agreement for the 2022-23 fiscal year. It is further resolved that Paul Schott will be the district's primary representative and Michael Zarellis will be the district's alternate representative as depicted in Exhibit D. Item number 7, approve the resignation of Patricia Crump, who is serving as the district's first alternate delegate to the Allegheny County Southeast Tax Collection Committee, effective as of December 31st, 2021. And related, item number 8, approve the appointment of Michael Zarellis to serve as the district's first alternate delegate to the Allegheny County Southeast Tax Collection Committee, effective as of January 1st, 2022. Item number 9, accept the following district donation received during the 21-22 fiscal year, specifically $100 cash received from the Monroeville Rotary Club for Jennifer Hoffner to support the backpack program. And item number 10, approve the Tricog Land Bank's notice of intent to acquire 2 Monroeville properties and 2 Pitcairn properties located within the Gateway School District, and the waiver of all applicable taxes, tax claims, and municipal claims due against the properties that's depicted in Exhibit E.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. McIntyre. Do we have any questions or comments on section F?
I do. Regarding the motion to display, sorry.
This part's for the board members.
Oh.
Okay, so
I'm going to guess her question might be, how long is it going to be on display, Dr. Rossi? 30 days?
And where?
We typically put it on display for 30 days. The super kids will be in the boardroom. We'll have everything on the website explaining on how to access the materials.
The actual books, you're not going to have those, are you? I mean, the reading list for 6th grade, are you just going to have the titles?
We have the
posted
titles. We just have the titles. They didn't provide us with the novels.
Okay, I didn't think so because there's so many of them. Okay, and that would give the public a chance to review the list that these people are talking about tonight.
Yes, so that probably won't happen until January.
Okay, I think that gives everybody time. Thank you.
okay.
Or is there any kind of process that the administration or the district goes through whenever we're looking at books like this, as far as our own reviewing them and approving them for use?
Absolutely. And understand that this is a supplemental reading list that is developed by Savas, which used to be Pearson, conglomerate of textbook materials. Typically, whenever we do put these on display, we do take any information that the public may have, criticisms, anything that they see of issue. So whenever you're compiling this list, please make sure that you deliver that via email and or handwritten documentation of questions, comments, concerns to myself, Dr. Chakey, and Dr. Rossi. From that point, we do kick it back to our curriculum committee, and then they will collectively address the questions that you may have. Yep. We have a number of teachers. I could probably get you that list. Dr. Rossi has that available.
Dr. Short, I was going to ask also. So the curriculum committee was the one who compiled this list. Is that what we're saying?
The actual curriculum itself through Savas. Dr. Rossi, you want to elaborate a little bit?
This list came from the 6th grade team. There was over 500 titles to choose from. So they looked at genre, grade level recommendations, content, Lexals, which is the reading levels. They also consulted with the librarian because a lot of the titles we already had in the library. So they were looking at all that. But once we get all the feedback, we will revisit that and we'll present it to the board.
So he's trying to reach Bruce about his car warranty.
I was trying to find a book.
Yes,
So the sixth grade team is composed of people here at Gateway.
that is correct, yes.
Okay, plus you've got the library involved, you've got the sixth grade team, and you've got this status.
Yes, administration as well, central office.
But it originates with status, correct?
Good question.
When you say originate, the actual novel list itself?
Yes.
Correct.
Crackers. They're light.
Is someone on the,
Someone needs to mute their Zoom.
yeah.
Buttery.
Like we've never done this.
Light, flaky, buttery clothes.
Can we have someone mute their phone?
I think we got it.
That worked.
We're good.
Okay. Do we have any questions on section F? Alrighty, seeing none. Mrs. Leisha, please roll call, please.
Mr. Gottman,
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre,
Aye.
Ms. Mongo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter. Mrs. Warning,
Aye, except for number 10.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Bova,
Aye.
Mrs. Cerucci,
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Moving on. Do not have anything for section G for resolutions presented by board members. Unless the board member has one at this time.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you just said.
I was saying we don't have any items on section G for board resolutions unless anybody would like to present one at this time. Okay, then we're gonna move on to comments from residents on non-agenda items. I do have one that has signed up this evening. Mr. Ray Firth.
Thank you.
You want me to pass them?
Come on.
This is for you to take into your retirement.
Thanks, man. Sorry.
Good evening. Thanks for your time. I'm Ray Firth, live in Garden City. My pitch tonight is to the board members that are going to remain on the board and ask that with the new board, you make closing the achievement gap in Gateway Schools a high priority. The administration's growth and achievement system, which we'll talk about next month, is a very good system, and it has been ranked high in Pennsylvania. But in and of itself, it's not enough to close the achievement gaps by any means. You can see the data on the growth and achievement on tables 3 and 4, and you can see the gaps that will continue after that have continued with this program in place. Cover page of the handout shows that Gateway was recently identified as one of only 6 school districts in Allegheny County with double-digit education gaps in every school for that year. And further research shows us that having gaps, double-digit gaps in every school almost every year since 2003. So this hasn't gone away by any means, and it hasn't gotten any bit better. Primary objective of the Gateway School District should be to have students ready for careers of the future. And that means graduates are proficient in English, math, and science. Table 1 and Table 2 shows that 20 to 29% of the students in these groups weren't grade level proficient. Does anyone think that that will make them ready for the careers of the future in Allegheny County? We're not alone in this. The United States is ranked 30th among industrialized countries in the quality of education. National studies have shown that the persistence of these educational achievement gaps imposes on the United States the economic equivalent of a permanent national recession. What's been attributed is a stagnation in the K-12 education system and greater inequality. And I think that's what Table 1 and Table 2 demonstrate to us, is that inequality in education. Yet we know that schools across this country have closed these educational gaps. That demonstrates that race and poverty are not a destiny to have low education gaps. I can repeat, please. Race and poverty are not destiny to have the achievement gaps that we have in this district. These are avoidable shortfalls in academic achievement, and they impose heavy and often tragic consequences on individuals via lower earnings, poorer health, and higher rates of incarceration. If you look at Table 1, the 18-19 proficiency data for the high school. If you were in a corporation and a profit-making organization, would you be satisfied if the product lines that your company worked on were at those levels of not meeting the standards set for your product lines? Look at Table 1, the 18-19. I'm sorry, repeating myself, my apologies. I don't believe any of you feel comfortable that we have education gaps of 20 to 30% and that they've persisted for 16 years at least. Can any school district be considered great with education gaps of 29% that have persisted for years? Imagine a close colleague of yours at work who's African American says that his or her child is struggling at their current school. Can you in good conscience advise them to come to Gateway, knowing Gateway is one of only 6 schools in Allegheny County with double-digit educational gaps in every school, and a gap of 29 to 45% of our African American students? Should they come to Gateway? Would you advise your colleague to bring their child to Gateway?
30
Those kind of
seconds.
odds? Or your sister has fallen on bad times. Would you advise her to come to Gateway, know that 1 in 3 economically disadvantaged children in Gateway will not be proficient? Please make a commitment to direct and support the superintendent to aggressively work to reduce these gaps. Superintendent will have to take some out-of-the-box actions, and more than he and his staff have already done. The entire board needs to be unified, supporting administration, but also to hold administration accountable for making the reduction in education gaps happen. Please make a commitment and work together. Then you can say, we all care about the children, and this is a great district. But I don't think that can be said with the 20 to 30% education gaps that we have in our district. Thank you.
Where's your data from? You have copies of that for us? We're not. Where did you get your data?
Mr. Firth, if I could just add,
Future ready PA.
your request, I spent over an hour with you.
Yes.
Hour and a half in my office with Dr. Chakey reviewing data, correct?
The achievement and growth data, yes.
Absolutely. And this is not my data.
Understood.
This is the Pennsylvania Department of Education data.
And I credited in there.
Yes. So what you saw from the PDE site represented significant growth and achievement by the district, correct?
Wow.
Not for these subgroups.
Well, I might add that this article that you referenced that you failed to disclose within this article specifically states the proficiency rates of Black students at Gateway High School are the highest among Black students in 42 school districts outside the city of Pittsburgh.
Wow, that's a big omission, Mr. Firth.
That's right from the article.
Okay. The comments from the audience are not appropriate here. Let's use decorum. Let's
So
be civil.
it's important that, and I do respect and understand where you're coming from. However, I'm speaking, sir. I'm speaking, sir.
To your
Sir,
point.
I'm speaking.
Mr. Firth, let Mr. Short finish and then you can go on.
It's important that the facts come out that are truthful. And
May I
this
respond?
information
I'm
is,
sorry.
Again,
These are truthful
I'm
facts.
trying to speak,
Your
sir.
point is correct.
Mr.
but we
Firth, it's
still
public
have a
comment. It's
gap.
not public debate.
Of all the
Mr. Short,
people,
Mr.
of
Short
all
is
the
trying
people
to answer you, sir.
to challenge me.
I understand what you're saying, sir. But my point is, if you read further in the article, you will see the highlights that have been brought out by Mary Niederberger.
Right.
who has been a professional educational writer
Yes.
in Western Pennsylvania for over 35 years, who took the time to step into my office, review the data, and invited me on her radio show to review what Gateway has done with minority students. So all I'm saying is there's further information here that you have omitted.
The future ready data is included for you and for the board. The issue here is when you look at the exact data that you're talking about and you look at the history of Gateway, there is barely any improvement in the achievement data.
And again,
is that correct?
Again, you're misinformed.
No, excuse me.
Correct.
It's the future ready data.
Guys, it's time to move on.
Yeah, it's not public debate.
The test has changed 3 times over the last 15 years. So you cannot examine data from 2003, 4, 5, and so forth, because it's irrelevant at this point because there's a new assessment. Anyone who has an opportunity to view that would have seen that.
Your accusations, I'm sorry, Mrs. Succi, the accusations that I haven't used correct data should not stand.
Brian, please.
It's
end the public
1819 data that's here on our students.
Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Worth. At any time, you're welcome again to join me in my office.
Cool. Is that behind the woodshed?
Just to review data.
Spend an hour with him.
Yeah.
Mr. McIntyre.
All righty. I do have an email that was requested to be read, but before I do that, I'd like to extend the opportunity to anybody in the room who'd like to comment on non-agenda items at this time. Okay.
Brian, before you read that, you read that last meeting.
No, there's a different one.
There's a different one.
Same, I think there was a paragraph missing. Go ahead.
Okay, this email is sent from Reverend Richard Winkfield, who writes as a resident of Monroeville and taxpayer in the Gateway School District. I am the Reverend Dr. Richard Winkfield. I'm a pastor in the Pittsburgh region and also serve as the chairperson of the Social Action Committee for the Baptist Ministers Conference of Pittsburgh and vicinity, a gathering of African-American pastors and preachers across southwestern Pennsylvania. I have been following closely the school board's position on the Director of Inclusion and Diversity within the school district. At a previous meeting, this school board voted to delay the proceeding forward with the search process until after the election. I and other concerned residents are now requesting clarification regarding the posting of this position. As such, we would like to know what date this month, November of 2021, the equity search process will resume. It is my position that filling this position is necessary to move this school's district forward in a positive direction and toward greater equity. This equity creates opportunities while acknowledging the lived experiences and backgrounds of others who are citizens of this nation. Failure of this board to move forward in filling this position will be detrimental to this district and create greater inequity for current and future generations within this community. Please do not allow the lack of understanding and dubious political agendas to mislead you as decision makers in understanding the importance and necessity of this position. Please be advised that I am watching this process very closely, and I'm expecting this board to move on this matter in an expeditious manner. I look forward to your timely response to this matter. Again, Reverend Richard Winkfield. I can actually answer that question for him. Where we stand so far at the last meeting of the study session, I was approved to continue or resume, I should say, the search for the equity director. Now, with that said, as I mentioned at the last meeting, this board currently makeup will not be voting on this. We will have a meeting in December, which is our reorganization meeting, and at that time, Dr. Short will be providing a presentation on the data of our students and the achievement gap. The new board then will have time to digest the information, and I believe that if a name should show up per that board's decision, it would not show up until at least the January meetings, whether it be study session or the regular meeting, because we also want to give time for the public to review and comment as well. So that is where we currently stand. And again, this board, as of today, is not voting on anything. That'll be for the new board to decide. Okay. With that, we're going to move on to reports, starting with the superintendent's report.
First off, I would like to announce that we have our Thanksgiving break coming up, and hopefully can wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I know our kids have been very hard at work, the staff as well, as we have matriculated back to a full in-person educational setting. So I do think a break is warranted. Also, I'd like to personally thank our 3 departing board members because needless to say, a lot of work, a lot of effort has gone into what they've been able to accomplish and what we've been able to accomplish over several years here. And I know that I have personally gained a lot from each and every one of them with their experiences, their background, their commitment to education and to the communities of Monroeville and Pitcairn, but more importantly, our children, because they are committed. This job, as I call it, as a board member, is a thankless job. The number of hours that go in to what we do, and behind the scenes, there are many hours, meetings, informational information that's sent out. It's very important that the public realize that this group has been committed to educational excellence. And it's been my pleasure to serve as superintendent with our 3 members here because they've meant a lot to me and this community and the district. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay. Dr. Rossi.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Dr. Chakey.
Nothing, thank you.
All right, it's Mrs. Crump on.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. Gottman. The only thing that we would like to announce at this time is the recruiting event that we had planned for Thursday with Kelly Services has been rescheduled. We will post that on the district website. We hope to have it again the first week of December.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Schott.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Mrs. Bungard.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Mrs. Isha.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay. All right, and then Mrs. Delaney.
Just a few things. I want to commend the football team, Gateway's football game Friday. Even though it was a disappointing loss, they worked hard to win, and they've had a wonderful season, I feel, and we're just all very proud of them for that. And second, I'd also like to acknowledge and Heather Baumgart, our special education. I know she doesn't expect that, but when I was reading from her report of the Bender Leadership Academy, which has involved students from the Gateway School, and when I saw the picture and remembered many of them that I had taught and the program and the life skills program, and how that program is so beneficial, and the pride that the students get and the leadership skills that they get, I think that needs to be commended. And then also I'd just like to give a few African American history points. In 1915, Booker T. Washington, who was a former slave who became a celebrated educator, author, orator, and civil rights leader, dies in Tuskegee, Alabama, of hypertension at the young age of 59. And also in 1950, hockey player Arthur Dorrington becomes the first Black to sign an NHL contract, joining the New York Rangers organization. And then one other point, in 2004, President Bush announces his nomination of Condoleezza Rice as Secretary of State. She's the first Black woman to serve in that position. That's all.
And thank you, Mrs. Delaney. Mr. Ritter.
Sure. Couple things, 3 things. Okay, so we've got some newly elected board members that are about to join us next month. There's what's called newly elected and returning school director training. Some of it's offered by the administration here, Dr. Short and his team. Some of it's offered by the PSBA, that's the Pennsylvania School Board Association. Dr. Short and I met with the PSBA guy a week or two ago, and we brainstormed a couple things that we think this board, could benefit from, that they might be able to help us with. So after the newly elected board takes its seat, we'll brainstorm again exactly what we might be able to fashion to help to get this board up and running smoothly. So the requirements are 5 hours of training for new members and 3 hours of retraining for returning members. So that's part one. Part two, there's a PA statewide masking mandate that was intended to be lifted by Governor Wolf in January 22. As of today, that's been, there's a new nuance to that. So I'd like to just say that the Gateway School District intends to re-examine its existing school health and safety plan to determine whether it needs to be updated, for example, operational contingencies, spreader identification, staffing adjustments, communications, whatever. In other words, anytime the Pennsylvania government does something, we notice that and we try to react to it and adjust to it to prepare however best we can to make sure that the staff, the kids, and everyone here are safe. So we continue to go through that exercise with today's news. We'll do it again. Third, the PSBA recently withdrew from the National School Board Association. One of the items of contention was the NSBA's characterization of some school board meeting attendees as worthy of federal investigation. Those are my words. In other words, when things get contentious in the audience, is that something that the federal government should step in and offer oversight, or should parents have the right to hold the school board members accountable even in a vigorous way? So the PSBA took a stand and said, we don't believe that it's the government's role to step in a federal way. So I'm wondering whether this school board here might be willing to join me and help construct a note that formally commends the PSBA for saying we agree that parents or people that attend the meetings have a right to agree or disagree with us and do it quietly or loudly, that they have a right to do it. Not to do things that are illegal or out of control, but we want them to hold us accountable. So I'll be happy to construct something for us, and if we could all take a look at it, and if we could agree to it, when PSBA does something right, I think it's good for us to pat them on the back, and this would help do that.
I'm in, John.
That's all I got. Thanks.
Mr. Bova.
Hey, thanks, President Gottman. I don't actually have a committee, so at the moment, so a committee report would be odd. But I would like to say that we have Thanksgiving coming up, so it is a time to be thankful, and I am thankful for the passion and emotion that folks bring to this work, and the people bring as participants from the community. I am hopeful in the year 2022 that we can be as respectful and kind as possible while we are expressing these things that we believe and feel. I mean, we represent a school district, and I don't think we would take kindly to students interacting in the way that I've heard, frankly, this process comported. So that's my hope, along with my thanks to all of you for your energy and caring. And I'd also like to thank Mr. McIntyre, Mr. Gottman, and of course, Scotty Williams for all their years of service. It, as everyone knows, is not a terribly thankful thing, this thing that we choose to do. But it's worthwhile and important, and I just thank all of you for what you've done. And I hope everything in the future turns out the way you'd like. Thanks.
Thank you. Mrs. Mungo.
I also want to thank Scott, Rick, and you, Brian, for your service. I know that it's been a difficult time. There have been ups and downs. And Scott, I just watch you from afar, and your wisdom means a lot to me. So I just thank you for all of the years that you've put in, and you, Rick, and also you, Brian. So thank you very much for your service.
Okay. Mrs. Warren.
Just a couple things. I want to thank our veterans
for all your services. Had a presentation last week, but the meeting was cut short, and I just want to thank you for all your service. Congratulations to all our fall sports for all the entertainment that you provided to our district and to our community. It's nice to see families coming out and just trying to get back to the normal. Also, there has been a food drive going on this month of November in the schools, and I just want to thank everyone that has contributed. The backpack program is up and running. We just recently had a coat drive. It has been well supported, and I just want to thank everybody for that. Also, Mr. Helchi had a Veterans Day performance at the high school last week. Did a wonderful job. The kids are amazing with what they do, and if you get a chance when he has the next one coming up in December, I'd take a moment to get out there. I believe he did it online too, that it was shown. Also to Scotty, Rick, Brian, thank you. It's been an interesting year. I know we didn't all agree on everything, but you know, we're here to do what we can for these kids. One other thing, I just want to wish the best to Mr. Bob Varan. He's going to be having surgery next month. Just hoping everything goes well for him. Happy Thanksgiving to all. And one last thing, Bonnie, do you have that picture by chance?
Yes, I do. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Share my screen and hope you can see this.
Not yet.
Oh, sorry, there it is. Let's do this and this.
Are you on the screen?
Not yet. And I just want to congratulate one of our always attendees is Richard Taglione, Tartalone, that was just brought. I know, I always do. That's why I always call him Matzah. I always, to wish him good luck being sworn in at Pitcairn Council, and I wish you the best of luck, and you'll see what we go through. So, thank you. And that's it.
All right, Mrs. Ritchie.
It's hard to go at the end because everybody gets all the good stuff in already. But I have to second the thank you to our veterans on Veterans Day. I had the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. a couple weeks ago with a good friend of mine, and we went to Arlington National Cemetery, and I had never been there before. And just talking about it makes me emotional because if you have never been there, you need to go there. Because when you are in that cemetery, all you see around you, as far as you can see, is white tombstones of all the people that gave their lives for our freedoms. And it's so moving and it's so emotional. And when you realize that the cemetery is almost full and you can only get there now if you have a Purple Heart. And as far as your eye can see, you see all of the soldiers who sacrificed. So I honor our veterans on Veterans Day, but I remember all the ones that aren't here who didn't come home. And I know that there are people that are in this community that have people that they lost. And I just acknowledge and honor all of those people. And I wish you all a blessed and happy Thanksgiving. And I thank you, Scotty and Rick and Brian, for your service.
Thank you, Mrs. Ritchie. Mr. Williams.
Same thing, get going last year, but thanks to our veterans and thanks for all the kind words. And just want to wish everybody happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Okay. Mr. McIntyre.
Yeah, just thank you everybody for, again, for the kind words. It's been, for the three of us, and for a good number of you that have been here all 4 years that before three of us have been on. It's been quite a ride. I think we've gone through some pretty low troughs and some pretty high peaks, but I think when you look at the number of things we got accomplished between the Gateway Middle School project, which was absolutely immense, and the culmination of decades of previous boards either working on it or kicking the can.
10-year process.
Yeah, we were able to finally get that moving and in the right direction. I think we've come through this pandemic as intact as possible. I think this could have gone really, really more sideways if we didn't have the leadership in place that we do with Dr. Short and his staff. So I thank you guys for that work through. I mean, the last 2 years, you guys have been just off the charts working all the time. So I thank you for that. To the new board coming in, again, you're coming in at a weird time. You're coming in at a time that I think we're seeing a nationwide attack on public education on the whole. It's gonna, and I think it's only starting. So you're gonna have a very interesting 4 years ahead of you. And to the oncoming board, just in response to what Mr. Ritter said about the PSBA and the NSBA, I would encourage all of you that are remaining on the board and those coming onto the board to look at what the NSBA actually said in their letter, as opposed to the description that we heard tonight. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. McIntyre. For me, a couple things. One, I do like to congratulate our new board members who were elected on election day, Mr. Singh, Mr. LeMayo, and Mrs. McBride, as well as Mrs. Mungo. I'd like to announce that I have named the nominating committee for a reorganization meeting, who will be accepting the nominations from our board members for president and vice president. And that committee will be Mrs. Delaney, Mr. Ritter, and Mr. Bova, who will be the chairman of that committee. So for board members, those who are sticking around, if you want to send your request to run for either president or vice president to that committee, and they'll gather information for you for the reorganization meeting. I mean, Mrs. Sarushi said it very well regarding Veterans Day. I can't really top that. So I will just say thank you to all the veterans who have served or are currently serving. And as for tonight, I mean, this is kind of funny thing. On my way here tonight, I turned on the radio, Green Day came on, which was the same band that performed our theme song for our prom when I graduated in 2004. So I find it kind of fitting that tonight, in my last meeting, I get that same song. But no, this has been, it feels like a lifetime. It also feels like just yesterday I came walking through these doors as a new board member. But we've had a lot of ups, we had a lot of downs. I mean, we went to some unprecedented events, but the one thing stands true is that you can't beat a Gator, and we beat everything that was thrown our way, and we will continue to beat anything that's thrown our way. We have a new school that's coming around, should be done in 2023. I'm very excited to see that school. The opportunities that will be provided to our students once that is complete will be astronomical. So I do want to thank a few people. First and foremost is my family and friends for their support and putting up with all this for the last 4 years. I'd like to thank Mrs. Greta Severson and the art department for providing the artwork over the years, including tonight's selection of artwork from Mr. Kalerix.
I was waiting for that.
Again, it's very beautiful. I hope everyone has a chance to see it before they leave this evening. And I do apologize that I haven't been able to post the online version since we've been bouncing around between venues with all of our meetings. But again, I want to thank all the students in the art department for providing the amazing artwork, and hope they continue to provide even more. I'd like to thank our solicitor, Mr. Dice.
Thank you.
For providing all the legal expertise and answering our calls at all hours of the day and night. I'd like to thank our administration for everything they have done for this district and continue to do. Your job is not easy, but you come in every day and you perform everything to the best of your abilities, and it's why Gateway still, is one of the top schools in the area. I want to thank Dr. Short. It was a pleasure to once again be with you. You were my principal, and you became my colleague.
I'll return that discipline file to you soon.
But no, thank you for everything that you've done for this district and continue to do. As you said before, your mission has always been and always will be the betterment of the Gateway School District. And I know that we will be in great hands for many, many years to come.
Thank you.
Lastly, to the board, you guys have been wonderful, great sources of information. I know I've spoken with Mr. Williams and Mrs. Cerrucci when I became president for their advice and tips on how to perform this duty. The rest of the board, I mean, you've been very supportive. Yeah, we haven't agreed at times, but we've always been able to have conversations and be able to work things out one way or another. I wish all of you the best of luck moving forward. Mr. Williams, for 20 years, and I don't think there's any been the board member who's been able to accomplish that feat. So I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done. Mr. McIntyre, you and I have been on here for 4 years. You put a lot of effort into our teacher contracts, and I think you've helped out a lot with that in terms of keeping us fiscally responsible. So thank you very much. And lastly, this district has been one of the biggest parts of my life. I came here as a student, had amazing experiences, teachers I'll never forget. I came back to work with summer maintenance with that crew, got a complete insight on how our custodials work and gained such an appreciation for what they do, not just during the school year, but during the summers to get those schools ready to go for day one. I mean, you wouldn't believe how much work is involved in just one classroom to get that set up. I got to work alongside great custodians and Sherry, Joe, Leo, and Donna. And I got to come back as a substitute teacher to give back to the students. And then I finally got the honor to be here as a school board director, and even the privilege of being your board president for this past year. It's something that I've held to a high standard, and something that, I will never forget this. And I've taken this position, very personally. So with that, for my last meeting, I'd like to seek a motion to adjourn.
Good Lord, yes.
Motion by Mr. McIntyre, second by Mr. Williams. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.